Hi, I'm Julie, and in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that intimidated me the most before I applied to Outschool, and that was creating my own curriculum. So I'd actually heard about Outschool months before I applied. I think I heard about it back in December of 2019. I heard some people talking about how great it was, and I started looking at it and seeing that you could set your own prices, you could teach at any time of the day, and I started thinking, wow, this is amazing, this is a dream come true. And then I saw you have to create your own curriculum, and I'm not gonna lie, that scared me so much, and I thought, how am I ever going to create my own curriculum? And when I heard the word curriculum, in my mind I was thinking textbooks and like detailed lesson plans, and it really scared me a lot. Today I'm here to tell you that creating your own curriculum does not have to be a scary thing. It does not even have to be a very difficult thing. So let's jump right into it. First, when you're creating your own curriculum, you have to decide what it is you want to teach. For some, it might not be an easy question. For me, it was pretty easy because I'm already a public school math teacher, so it's kind of like, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be teaching math. At the same time, it was kind of difficult for me because I started seeing all these classes that were so creative, where they were combining Harry Potter and Minecraft and Pokemon with all these different subjects, or creating escape rooms and Jeopardy classes, and I thought, I have no idea how to do this. All I knew is how to teach some very basic math lessons. For you, you might be a public or private school teacher and you might already know what you want to teach. But if you're not a teacher and you're thinking, I have no idea what I would want to teach, just think, what do you enjoy? What are you good at? Now, for me, there are a lot of things I would love to teach on Outschool, but I'm not going to. For example, I love to paint, but am I good at painting? Not really. At least not enough to teach a class on Outschool. But if you're good at art or any sort of art, teach that. If you're good at writing, teach that. Or there are so many other options that people have done that really going to the Outschool website and looking at other teachers' classes for inspiration is my #1 piece of advice. Now, of course, don't go stealing their ideas, but gain inspiration from them. See if there's something on there that's similar to what you might want to do. For example, I've seen some teachers run a social skills class where they just converse with the students for the whole time. Students can come practice conversing with other students. And the class is really just about talking, communicating, and speaking with each other. There's nothing very complicated about that. Some classes are literally just for students who love things like Dungeons and Dragons or Harry Potter or different games. There are so many games that kids these days, I don't know what they play. You can do a class that's just Harry Potter trivia, or actually play a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Don't ask me how to do that because I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I know it can be done. There are so many teachers who incorporate these really fun themes into actual school material. Of course, don't steal this idea, but I've seen one teacher do Pokemon writing, and I watched a webinar of hers, and it was amazing, and the students love that class. I'm not very good at writing, but if I was good at writing, what I would want to do, because I love Harry Potter, is I would want to teach the kids to write a paragraph, but in this paragraph or story or narrative, whatever it's called, I don't know, I'm not a writing teacher. I would want them to write about like a spell. I would want them to create their own spell, like like spells that they have in Harry Potter, and then use descriptive language of what happens when they cast that spell. And you know, oh man, I wish I could teach writing just so I could teach a class like that. I mean, of course, you can be a math person and be a writing person. Feel free to teach as many kind of things as you want on Outschool. Some teachers like to have a story time with their kids where they'll take a book and they'll just read it to their kids. Sometimes you can do themes with this. I've seen teachers do these princess story time themes where if the learner wants to, they can dress up as a princess and come to class and hear the story and talk about the story. Now, of course, make sure that you are following the rules of copyright. A lot of times you will have to email the publisher of a book and ask for permission, but I've heard it's quite easy that a lot of teachers hear back from publishers thanking them that they are going about this the right way. Don't risk it. Don't think, oh, this publisher will never see my book or never see my class on Outschool. Don't risk it because they might try to fine you or charge you for what you've been earning. So truly, the possibilities are endless. Take something you enjoy, make a class out of it. Make it a fun class for you too. Think about what classes you want to take. Honestly, scrolling through Outschool, I wish that I could be a learner on Outschool. There are so many cool classes I would want to take. Okay, so now you've decided what you want to teach on Outschool. So what's next? Where do you go from there? For me, I like to use Google Slides. I could teach a lesson without Google Slides. However, the Google Slides are mostly for me so that I can keep track of what I've already taught, of where I am in the lesson. And then here's how I decide what to put on the slide. My first slide will always be my welcome to class slide. This is just an introduction. It says the title of the class, it says my name, and it usually just says welcome to class. The second slide is always going to be an introduction slide where we're going to go around and introduce ourselves, say your name, where you're from. Remember not to get too specific on this. You don't want the kids saying their whole address, which I've had before. Maybe you can say, if you're in the United States, what state do you live in? And usually I'll have them say something fun, like what their favorite ice cream flavor is, or their favorite vacation that they've ever been on. Something a little bit fun, just a little icebreaker to warm up. And my third slide is always going to be about classroom rules and expectations. Now this is really important in every single class. I think even if you teach a multi-week class, it's important to go over your classroom rules and expectations right at the beginning of class. For me, I'll tell them, now I want this to be a conversation, but I am going to mute you guys just in case there's any background noise. We'll talk about being respectful to all learners in the class. We'll talk about how I expect them to participate. Do I want them to write things down and hold it up to the camera for me to see? Sometimes I might want them talking. And I'll tell them what materials they need. For me, I'll always have them get 2 sheets of paper, one for scratch work and one for notes. Now from there, you gotta get into your content. First, I would decide what background knowledge does a student need to have, and it's never a bad idea to review the background knowledge before jumping into new material. For example, in my very first Outschool class that I ever taught or ever created, I wanted to teach it on multiplying and dividing fractions. So I asked myself, well, what do they need to know before they can do this? Well, they need to know what a fraction is. So we'll spend the first few minutes just kind of reviewing, refreshing their memory. What is a fraction? What's a numerator and denominator? Can we model a fraction? Now, of course, you can do this in any subject area. In art, I'm sure there's some things you'll need to review first. I'm not an artist, I can't really tell you what, but you know, you're the expert on that. But in most classes, you're gonna need some background knowledge and some review before going in. So it's always great to have a discussion with your learners at the beginning of class and figure out what it is that they need to know first. And then you jump into your content. Like I said, my first class was multiplying and dividing fractions. So we started with multiplying fractions. I gave them a very easy example where we modeled it. I usually give them about 3 steps to write down. Then we did an example together and then they did some examples. And honestly, that was quite a good chunk of my lesson. That took up about half the time. Typically, the students love to participate, so they'll love to add in their thoughts. You make sure you check with each student to know that they have gotten what you need them to get. I feel like I worded that weird. When I know that they have mastered how to multiply fractions and I know that they understand all the definitions such as numerator, denominator, those things, then we jump into the next part of the lesson, which is dividing fractions. I go ahead and give them some more steps. Sometimes I'll try to find a fun resource. I'll show a little YouTube video. I don't try to spend a lot of time doing that. Sometimes I'll do about 1 minute, like a 1-minute clip of a YouTube video that has a fun song, something to help them remember it. And yeah, we'll just spend a few minutes doing exactly what we did first, doing some examples, practicing together. So as you see, it does not have to be very complicated. This is honestly what I do in public school with my students. Eventually, you can definitely get into breakout sessions. Since I'm still pretty new to Outschool, I haven't used them yet, but I know that they're a great resource to have on Zoom. If you're still not convinced, if you're thinking this sounds like a lot of work to create PowerPoints or Google Slides, let me just remind you of something. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this was the very first Google Slides that I'd ever made. I'd used Google Slides before, but I never made a Google Slide. And it took me a solid 3 or 4 hours, maybe even a little bit more, to create that one lesson, to create one 45-minute lesson. Not just because it took me a long time to think of what I wanted to teach, that part was easy, but I wanted to make it cute. I wanted to add in some pictures and GIFs. I wanted to make it look nice and flow nice. So it took me a little while to create. And it might be easy to get discouraged thinking, oh my goodness, I just spent 4 hours creating this Google Slides. But remember, now you have that and you can use it for as long as you want to. You can teach that class 1,000 times and never have to change those Google Slides ever again. Now, of course, if you see something doesn't go quite right in the lesson, you might want to go back and tweak a couple things, but I haven't even had to really do that yet. So far, I've only created 3 classes. Each time it's been easier and easier to create a class because I know the format of Google Slides. And now I have that class forever that I can teach whenever I want to. So don't tell yourself that it's not worth it to create your own curriculum, that it sounds too hard. It's really not. It could be so simple. The biggest thing is deciding what you want to teach. And I'm telling you, just going to Outschool and searching classes will give you so much inspiration. There's so many classes I want to teach. Honestly, I'm not a very creative person, but lately ideas have just been popping in my head, thinking ways to combine more fun themes with math, or even completely different classes that aren't math that now I kind of want to teach, and I'll just jot them down. I have a little notes tab in my phone and I'll jot down an idea anytime it comes to me, because one day I would love to create more classes. But I would definitely encourage you, just give it a try. Go ahead and apply if you haven't already. Think about something you might want to teach. I promise you it will be easier than you think. I know it's so intimidating, but it's really not as difficult as you think, especially if it's something that you know and something that you love. It's just going to come naturally. It's going to flow when you start writing that lesson. If you do choose to apply and you use my referral link, I would be happy to send you some excerpts of my lessons in my Google Slides, just so you can kind of see the format, so you can get an idea of the flow of a lesson. You can go ahead and use my classroom rules and expectations if you want. Anyway, I'll put my referral link down below if you want to click on that to apply. And you can always email me questions. I'll put my email down below. I'd heard about Outschool months before I applied, and I didn't apply right away because I was so intimidated by creating your own curriculum. And now I really wish I didn't wait. So even if you're feeling a little skeptical about creating your own curriculum, go ahead and apply. It's going to come naturally to you. Well, thank you guys for watching my video. Good luck creating your own curriculum. You got this.